Welcome to the PIO podcast, a forum for all things public information related for police, fire, EMS, and local government. A place to grow and develop your public information skills. I am your host, Robert Tornaveni. I have over 11 years of experience as a PIO and 27 years as a law enforcement officer. I am proud to announce that we have partnered with the PIO Toolkit to expand and grow the podcast. Thank you to Christine Townsend and Law Publications for this amazing opportunity. To contact the show, email robert@piotoolkit.com. We need your feedback on how we're doing. Please rate us on whatever platform you listen or send us a review via email. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast to get notified of the latest episodes. Thank you for listening. Sit back and enjoy the next episode. Good morning. Today on the PIO podcast, we have the Public Information Officer from Dane County Sheriff's Office, Elise Schaffer. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You know, Elise, I really appreciate you coming on this show. Dane County is an area that is relatively close to where I grew up at, in the Chicago area, not next door, but next state. So I've been wanting to get you on for a while, and we finally were able to connect. So could you tell us about your background and how you got into the position?
Well, I've been doing this for 18 years now, so it's been quite a while. But prior to that, I was actually in more of a social work role. I worked with juveniles that were involved in the criminal justice system. So I had the criminal justice side of things. But I don't really have a communications or a media background.
Oh, that's a little unique. So
yes,
you're kind of like in the role of like where I had a lot of juvenile related activity, but no formal journalism training, and got, thrust into it and loved it ever since.
Right. And actually, when Dane County first hired for this position, they really had the PIO part of it as just a portion of it. They were really looking for somebody to do some like programming, some like prevention type programming, which is where I came in. And I don't think they realized how big of a demand the public information side of it was, and what that demand was going to grow to.
And I don't think many municipalities truly understand, unless they've had one for a long time, truly understand the demand that PIOs handle and the volume of work that they do to support their agencies. All right. So how big is the Dane County Sheriff's Office, and how large is the agency? Or I should say, let me go backwards. How big is the agency right now?
We're approximately 550, and about 450 of those are sworn.
And you guys are in the southwest part of Wisconsin?
Yep.
And how big is the county and the population?
I believe the population is around 560,000 right now. The land is around 12,000 square miles.
Okay, so a pretty good sized population.
Yeah,
that you guys have to deal with.
Second to Milwaukee, so second largest in the state.
Oh, okay. So that's quite a bit. So you're running a jail, and you're having to deal with issues that come out of the jail, but then you also have to deal with matters that come out from the sheriff's office in patrol and so on. Correct? Right. So when you first became a PIO back in the beginning, what kind of challenges did you encounter early on?
Well, it was a brand new position. They had never had a PIO before. So a lot of it was just, I don't think they really knew what to do with me when I first started. There wasn't a real solid plan in place for my job responsibilities, what my role would be. So it was kind of figuring it out as I went along, a lot of it. And like I said before, I had criminal justice background, but not a lot of law enforcement background. So it was also just getting to know law enforcement and how it worked, and that the idiosyncrasies of that. So those were probably my two biggest challenges when I started. Is I felt pretty naive in a lot of areas.
And you have been in this field for 18 years. So if you think about the changes in the dynamic of how the field has changed. So let's go back to when you guys first looked at a social media platform. How is, let's talk about that real quick. You have normal media that you're interacting with. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, let's try social media.
Yeah. And at least in our neck of the woods, we were one of the first agencies to venture onto Facebook. And it was, I'm going to guess around 15 years ago that we did that. And it was, like most agencies, a little bit controversial at the time. We were really looking at it in a more of a recruitment tool. And so we were really focused on recruitment because at the time, the young kids were on Facebook, very different from what it is now.
Right.
And so we were trying to reach some of that population in terms of recruiting. And of course, now it's much different than that.
So what types of social media are you guys currently running right now?
So right now we do Facebook, we do Twitter, we do Instagram, and we just recently started a LinkedIn page.
Okay. And that's obviously probably recruitment for the entire sheriff's department. And recruitment's probably right now one of the biggest struggles for law enforcement agencies across the country.
Yeah, and we're very lucky in that we have a deputy that's assigned full-time to recruitment. So she puts a lot of work into that, but you're right, it is one of the biggest challenges right now. And our agency in particular has a population that right now we're seeing a lot of retirements. We did a lot of hiring back in the, I think, early 90s, long before I was here. And those people are now reaching retirement age and they're, so we have a lot of people leaving on an annual basis and just replacing those retirees is a challenge right now.
Oh, I'm sure it is. And with the environment and the image of law enforcement overall, it makes it even harder to find good candidates that want to come along and do the job.
Right.
And this is not at all about your agency, but I'm sure there's been changes in the way you guys are recruiting. Are you going out of state? Do you know, or is it more you're trying to appeal to the younger crowd to get them to come in?
We do go out of state once in a while, but not a lot. A lot of our recruitment is done online. We really try and recruit more of a personality. We're looking for good communicators. We're looking for problem solvers. So we don't focus on just your people that are in the law enforcement tracks or the criminal justice tracks at your local college. We're really looking for a type of person that can do the job. We can train them. We can teach them the skills. We need the personalities that we're looking for. And so we are really we kind of say we're all recruiting all the time, because anytime we come into contact with somebody that we think has great people skills and might be looking for a different type of career than what, there's a lot of people that just have really never thought of law enforcement as a career. And so we're just reaching out constantly. And like I said, we have a full-time recruiter that is, she's going to career fairs, she's going to colleges, but then we also do a lot of stuff online.
That's good to know. All right. So let's talk about the protests in 2020. I know Madison was a focal point. How was the sheriff's department involved in that, and what challenges as a PIO did you encounter?
Well, as far as being a PIO, I got fairly lucky because Dane County also has, like you said, Madison is the county seat. That's where we're located, but Madison has their own police department also. So they really took the brunt of those protests and everything that went along with it. And it was tough. We really just assisted them. Our special events team was out working side by side with them on a regular basis throughout that time. So our deputies were working hard and were doing a lot during that time. Like I said, I got pretty lucky because I wasn't the primary person and contact person for those events that fell to Madison Police.
Okay. How about the messaging that you guys were doing through the pandemic? How did that change for you as the PIO?
Yeah, well, we all got real good at Zoom,
Right.
and online meetings and things like that. That was something I didn't, I did one thing that I never thought I'd ever do in this job. And I worked from home for quite a while, not as long as a lot of other people, but there were certainly, a period of months where we were all working from home, and you had to kind of deal with the challenges of different types of communication and things like that. But yeah, it was just, like it was for most people, it was difficult. Your messaging had to be just, you were constantly trying to let people know what was happening. And a lot of times that message was changing from day to day, especially in the early months of the pandemic. And, I certainly think our jail folks had the hardest job during that time. As anybody that works in the corrections area knows, that COVID was very challenging during that time. And so our jail administration actually did a great job of coming up with a plan and putting that into place. And it did change from time to time, but I thought they did a great job during that time.
Now, do you think that those are opportunities there for you to tell a story about your agency then? And I'm not sure if you do this or not, or if you have somebody that maybe works in your office that does stories like that. But I kind of think that we in law enforcement have to really start thinking of putting packages together for our agencies to promote that behind the scenes work that nobody knows. And I think that maybe the jails and corrections don't get quite the amount of recognition that the guys out and the girls in patrol get.
Yeah, and we did that a little bit. I'm sure there was more we could have done. I think it was a challenge during that time to, we were unfortunately very reactionary, which in law enforcement, that's probably one of our biggest challenges, is we're just reacting to everything that's going on. And sometimes we don't always have the time to put together those great stories that we would like to share.
Okay. So let me ask you this, and what guidance would you give to somebody that wants to try and get into our field as a public information officer?
Well, as you know, it's not for the faint of heart.
No.
It can be a very stressful job at times. It can also be very rewarding. I would say really study up on your crisis communications. That's, there are a lot of classes out there that you can take that aren't, like college courses and things like that, where you can learn about crisis communications. There's a lot of consultants out there traveling around doing a lot of great training. But I think it also comes down to, at least for me anyway, I'm a learn by doing. And like I said, I've kind of learned this job over the years. So when you do have an experience, look back at it afterwards. What went right? What didn't go right? What would you do differently this time around? You're going to have to be a great multitasker and learn to prioritize, because it's never dull, especially if you're in law enforcement. There's never a dull moment. So.
And I didn't ask this before. Are you just a single person in your unit? Did you have somebody else that works with you?
Yes, no, I'm a one person show. So I'm doing the the media releases, I'm answering all the questions, I'm doing the social media. And then of course there's the special events and things like that I help plan too. So.
Oh, so you're busy. Yeah, and that's the problem. We're all jacks of all trades and we have to do everything. And unfortunately, I wish this field would recognize and the leadership would recognize that we need to have more people. It's just that they don't see the benefit of having that secondary person behind you that could assist in other ways until
Right.
after it happens. Right.
Yeah, that's a luxury in my world. That would be pretty fabulous. But
what special events are you involved in planning for?
well, right now I'm working on putting together our annual awards ceremony. So that's one of the big events I plan every year. And this year it's even bigger because we haven't had an award ceremony for 2 years because of COVID. So we've got some backup that we're putting into this one too. So it's going to be different. And we have a new sheriff too. So the Sheriff Mahoney retired about a year ago. And so we're sort of revamping it. So every time we have to change things up, it gets a little more interesting.
Now, it's obviously going to be in person this year,
Yes,
I would assume.
This is in person, yeah.
Is it a formal event, guest speaker, that kind of thing, or is it
not a formal event, but for the first time ever, we are going to have an MC. So,
okay.
Like I said, we always try and make it a little bigger and better.
Of course.
So, yeah.
All right. So, as a public information officer that has been doing this for 18 years, where do you see the field going in the next? Let's just jump forward 5 years.
Yeah, I think, well, we're already seeing this trend a little bit, is that we are going to become our own media. I know we're already looking at doing a lot more videos and things like that we can post on social media where we're basically doing our own stories. Just like every place else right now, I know our local media is also very shorthanded and doesn't always have people to send to our events or news conferences and things like that. And so I think we're going to become kind of our own media room where we're putting out the stories ourselves.
And have you done like Facebook Lives or anything like that? When
you know what, that actually terrifies me. I have to confess. Like I said, we're just kind of delving into the videos and things like that I feel a little safer doing that. And then being able to post a video. We have not done the lives yet. I know a lot of people are doing them. I think they're great. I have a lot of respect for it, but I just haven't quite been brave enough to venture into it yet.
Totally understandable. I get it. It can be very daunting to be up there live, and especially when you get thrown a curveball.
Right. Exactly.
All right. Let's lighten this up a little bit. Let's go to some rapid fire questions. Okay.
Sure.
All right. So what do you do to relax and disconnect?
I like to get outside, which in the winter in Wisconsin can be challenging, but just getting outside, going for a walk, disconnecting, hanging out with my dog.
All right. Chocolate or vanilla?
Well, it depends on what it is, but I would say majority of the time I'll go with chocolate.
All right. A must-read book in your mind?
Oh my gosh. You know what? I read a lot of, I don't read a lot of like work related books. I read a lot of, one of my favorite books, and this is going back quite a ways, was Eat, Pray, Love.
Oh, good book. Read it. Mm-hmm. If you could go back in time and tell your 18-year-old self advice, what would it be?
Oh gosh, get out into the world and sort of experience life, before you make decisions about careers and education and things like that. I grew up in a very small town. And when I look around now and see some of the careers people are doing and how they've, turned their passion into a career, I think that's definitely, I think something I would have liked to have thought about a little more.
And your favorite drink of choice?
Oh gosh. That's a hard one, but I'll go with, I'm gonna go alcoholic version. I love a Cosmopolitan.
Oh, excellent. Yep. What would be your superpower if you could get one?
Oh my goodness. That's really hard. Taking people's pain away. If I had the superpower to take pain away, that would be excellent.
That's a very holistic power. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, Elise, anything you'd like to add?
Boy, I can't think of anything. I guess if I'm going to add something, if there's any chiefs or anything out, sheriffs listening, say, keep your PIO in the loop. I think that's it's always talked about, but it's certainly harder. It's easy to say and hard to do. There's a lot going on in all these agencies and departments, and the more we can know ahead of time, the better job that we can do for you.
I like that. How can people best reach out to you if they want to learn more about you or connect?
I'm on LinkedIn, so that's a great place.
Okay. I will add that into the show notes.
Okay.
And that's Elise Schaffer from Dane County Sheriff's Office in Madison, Wisconsin. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast to get notified of the latest episode. If you are listening on a platform that allows reviews, please give us a review. We appreciate any review, good or bad. It helps us improve on each episode. Until next time, be safe.